got a misfire. It's a 2017 Hyundai Santa Fe. It's a 2.4 engine. So I don't know anything besides the fact that when it was here previously, she complained about, I want to say like an oil leak or something. It was here for some other complaints. I just work on so many other vehicles. I just can't remember everything. But she did say that Kia did make an attempt to do an oil consumption test, and they pretty much just said screw it, you know, left her on her own. They aren't interested in trying to resolve this and getting this taken care of because it's consuming oil. I want to say about like a quart every 2 weeks or something. And so it's got a misfire now, so it might just be something superficial like a coil or something, or a spark plug. But I do know she wanted to give some type of passive remedy. Might put an elixir inside the combustion chamber and see if that'll help with the oil consumption. Probably. I don't think it will, be honest, but you know, something's better than nothing, especially when Kia's like, you know, screw it, we're not doing anything about it. So, but at the same time, I did tell her I didn't want to void the warranty if they were going to try to cover it. So it's not like they're going to know, but at this rate, I mean, she's kind of desperate. So we heard the misfire. First thing I'm gonna do, just like anything else with this car, check the oil level. What does the oil look like? What is the oil condition? And start checking for misfires. Like typically, we get ignition coils that will cause a misfire. Like oil, I bet you the oil level's low, but this has been running. Typically the coil's gonna be the problem for a misfire like it is, but I don't know if that's like here's the oil level. Yeah, so it is low. And I know when it left here about a couple weeks ago, it was full because I topped it off. All right, so the oil level's okay. I'm not gonna sit there and say it's full, but this generally isn't enough to create some problems, but it could potentially create problems, or preferably I would want to see it between these two dots here, low and full. So we'll be in a moderate range because the possibility the oil pump pickup got starved and it needs needs oil pressure for timing and actuation of the VVT components, the cam gears. So let's check the coils, see which cylinder's misfiring, and go from there, because I don't know if this vehicle tends to go into have a oil pressure issue and go to a limp home mode state, and that's probably what it is. But you need to check all that first. All right. I'll try to do this one more time because it wouldn't auto detect, but I was able to pull the VIN, and I should manually be able to find the vehicle. I think I went here. Let me go to back. Okay, let me go to manual select. And that's the US. Might need to get that glare off the screen in the back. Hold on. All right, let's go to diagnosis. I'm gonna go to control unit. Since the misfires in the engine, we're just gonna go to engine. Trouble codes. Cylinder 1 misfire detected. So we might just have a simple coil. So we got a P0301. So we're gonna go to misfire, but let's see what options we have as far as like testing to ensure that we have a misfire. Well, with these new cars, a lot of times they'll deactivate, enable, disable ignition coil 1. Let's just see what happens with that. A lot of times it'll deactivate the fuel system, so you can't really rely on the fuel trims to determine what kind of misfire you got. Hold on. Shoot, what do I do that for? Fail. Go to 2. Fail. Why is it saying fail? Let's see if we can do the injector I guess because there's a check engine light for the ignition system, it's not going to allow me to control the coil. So I guess the injectors are working. Let me go to injector 2. So that changed significantly. Let's go to number 3. That changed significantly. Let's go to number 4. Uh-oh. That changed significantly. So number 1 didn't change. Let me disable the injector again for number 1. No change. Let me try clearing the code and see if I can then control the ignition coil. I might be able to clear it while it's running. Okay. All right, let's go back to active test. Let me go with the ignition coil 2. Nope. I'm not sure why it will let me do that. Probably because the code came back. This car should be pretty sensitive. Yep. Okay. Let's go to the old school method. So we know for a fact our misfire is on number 1. So one other thing we can do is simply just swap the coils just like the old school way and see if it changes. All right, let's pull the coil out. See if I can get the light down here. I don't know if that'll make any difference or anything. So here's our number 1 cylinder. Number 1 is always going to be closest to the timing belt or timing chain. These do look like original coils. I'm just going to pull the neighboring one, see if that's a good one or not. So being that I'm gonna pull number 2 because that's the good one, and I like to do a little bit of compare and contrast with the coils because it makes diagnosing a lot easier. This is an original coil. It's got Kia Hyundai on it. Now one thing I will look for is any type of arcing, like little white specks, which will indicate that there's potentially arcing, but this is a hard misfire, so it wouldn't surprise me that the coil itself is just slightly actually bad. Now I could just swap this, see if the misfire move, and call it a day. But being that this car has an oil consumption problem, I'm gonna pull those 2 plugs out and compare and contrast because there could be something internally wrong with that cylinder since it does have an oil consumption problem, and the spark plug will tell me how the vehicle is consuming oil. Your plugs will just look different when there's oil consumption depending on if it's coming from the intake versus through the piston rings. Here's number 1, and I can tell you this vehicle is eating oil. Let me see if I can get this light off here. It's eating it through the piston rings. Look at that. Look at all that carbon inside of there. Damn it, man. That is crazy. That is crazy. Being that there's so much carbon buildup inside of the spark plug, I don't know if it'll zoom in on this. Come on here. All right, there we go. That is crazy. There we go, that's a lot better. Look at that. Let's get number 2. See what that looks like. See if it'll. I can zoom in a lot better. I just got to get the lighting just right. I don't know how well that detail will pick up on the camera. But there isn't really a big gap between the porcelain, the insulation, and the ground of the spark plug. So looking at the ground here on the side, and then you got the porcelain here for the insulator for the electrode. Let's look at number one. One, two. Here's the big difference. So what this is, if I can get it to focus. Here's the plugs. Here's number one. Here's number two. You can look inside the cavity here of the spark plug. See how bad it is? That right there is a clear indication that the piston rings are likely faulty and the oil is entering through the compression rings, the oil rings and the compression rings, and it's getting combusted during the compression stroke. So meaning that when the piston goes down, it's taking in air and fuel. During that, also in that vacuum state, the oil is bypassing in small doses the oil rings and the compression rings. So over time, it's capable of burning off a lot more efficiently, but in small doses, it gives the oil an opportunity to accumulate like this. And you start having bridges being made. And the plug is hot enough to where it can burn it off. So that's why you get this type of buildup on the plug. So again, the oil enters during the downward stroke in the vacuum state, taking in air and fuel and oil through the rings, and the small doses allow oil to accumulate. Some are just better than others, some are just worse than others. So if you look at this, this is how number two, look at the ground. Look at the ground, the plug, look how long that is. And look at the bridge starting to be built on the number one, the bad one. Look at that gap. There's a bridge being built through the oil buildup. I don't want to call it sludge, the soot, oil soot. I'm gonna call it. That's what it is. So the difference is when you have oil being eaten injector, I guess, like in the intake, you'll get more fouling because you're taking in more volume of oil. So because more oil is getting in through the intake from the PCV system or bad turbo, that's a lot more volume of oil. So it's not going to be sustainable like the small doses you'll get through the piston rings. So with the oil being entered in the intake through the PCV system or turbo, you'll get fouling more rapidly, and you'll get smoke out the tailpipe because you're getting more volume of oil, unlike taking it in small doses over time through the rings and it losing oil over time, and you're not going to notice any smoke come out tailpipe because the volume is less and it doesn't have time to settle, and it atomizes, I would say, a lot better because it's getting compressed. So yeah, so the plugs are even bad. Like I said, the compression seeping through the plug here where it's pressed in. So these are bad. The plugs are gonna have to be replaced anyway. But let's just see if changing the plug, cleaning the plug, will work. And I just want to get a shot of this. This looks bad. Look how horrible that is. That's horrible. So let's clean the plug, see what happened, and if it cures the misfire, and if so, then we can just simply change the plugs and call it a day. Now again, this lady, well, I did talk to her about trying to put in some type of elixir inside the combustion chamber, see if we can get that, get that to soak and help with the rings, because this vehicle has 119,000 miles on it. I don't know if this had the same issues as Toyota's, to where the oil couldn't evacuate through the oil rings and it will cause sludge buildup. So I don't know if that's the case, but it's worth giving a try and see if it can help mitigate the oil consumption. All right, so let's clean these plugs and see what happened. I just put them in the wire brush, and this is I'm stuttering. This is number one. I'm not gonna worry about the sludge that's in there, or the soot that's in there, because the main thing, it needs to fire between this electrode and this ground here. That's what's important. And I just cleaned number two anyway, just for the hell of it. So let's throw it back in there and see what happens. This is gonna make that guy or those guys and girls mad because I'm putting in with the impact. Yeah, I know they hot. I should fire myself. Don't worry, I'm not gonna be working here any longer after the day because my boss is gonna fire me for doing that. So, yeah. After the day, they ain't gotta worry about me working. I'm quitting anyway. All right, let's start it up and see what happens. Work, damn it. Still misfiring. I'm gonna pull the coil up and see if it's if I hear popping. That'll indicate that the spark is trying to make a jump. Yeah, so it is. That means the, oh shit, they cleared up. So I was gonna wait anyway, obviously, but that means that the plug is failing. Plugs can fail and break. I got a broken plug somewhere around here. Well, I can't find that plug. It was for a Dodge I replaced, and the plug was just, the plug worn out. So just because it's not working doesn't mean that you need to go ahead and replace the coil. This is the whole premise of diagnosing, because I simply could just throw the coil in there and be like, it's a coil, and not fix the problem. So analyzing it, making the right determination, and going with what you know helps to be 100% conclusive. Anyway, enough of that. So what we got obviously was a bad spark plug because it was fouled. That's a rare case right there. Normally they'll just break and just not work, depending on the quality of plug. But that was a good quality plug there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm still gonna change the plugs anyway. I'm gonna get a lady a quote for that, and I'm gonna see if she wants to go with putting the concoction inside the cylinders and seeing if we can help slow this oil consumption down. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to do that. So let me give her a call. All right, I have got back from the part store, and you know what part store I went to because I frequently patronize O'Reilly's. I'm a good patronize. So I bought these iridium spark plugs. They were very expensive. Very expensive. They're $20 each. And look how beautiful they look though. So I'm gonna grab my 10mm, my impact gun, and I'm gonna start pulling these out, zipping them out. So you're gonna see how fast this is in real time. If I can get this lock off of here, get that lock off. I might not have to pull some of these locks off. This one looked like it's a little tight. I had a phone call come in. I don't know what I said because I say too much. All right, let's get this. So I got the lock off. You're getting off. Go ahead and knock these out. You're getting off. You're already off. So this is number 4. Comes out, no problem. Number 3. I gotta pull that lock off. Comes right out. Now, it doesn't matter where you put them. Some people are like, it needs to go back in the exact same spot. It's not that serious. It doesn't change anything. The cylinder itself doesn't adjust to the coil firing abilities. Because it's not like every individual cylinder has a freaking oxygen sensor. I do need to blow this. Uh-oh. So this is number 4, if I can get it out. Here's number 4. I'll probably cut the light on. Let me see if I can get the light over here. Number 4 looks, that's a lot better. It looks okay in comparison to number 2. Well, number 2 looked the best. Sorry, number 2 looked the best. Number 1 looked horrible, so it looks better in comparison to number 2, but we still have oil consumption. Number 3. Here's number 3. Yeah, it looks bad. Number 2 looks the best out of all of them. These are just, all these cylinders need to be treated, or the rings need to be replaced. And this is a better example. Let me find number 3 and 4. This is a better example of how oil consumption plug will look. Like, this is a more moderate, like a more common look that you would see the white soot build up. Look at that bridge right there, down at the bottom. This is more common. This is what I would see a lot in Toyotas. I don't need to blow anything out down there. I do want to clean my area though. Let me hit it with some brake cleaner, some compressed air. So I'm gonna run these new plugs down there. So let me show you what the old ones look like in comparison to the new one. Oh, that's not a old one. This is a older one. So these are the exact same plug. See, that's what you don't want to do. You back it out, and get it restarted, and it'll run itself in there. So the problem comes into play when people try to overcome that resistance and then wind up cross-threading the plug. I guess that's what the internet is afraid that you're not capable of realizing. But yeah, no. This isn't my first rodeo. Like, how dare you put those in there with an impact gun? Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know nothing of what I'm doing, so don't follow me, don't listen to me, etc., etc. So yeah, we're gonna put this bug juice in there. Go in there. Lost the other coil. Oh, here we go. tin. That's that. I do want to clean those coils off. Let me top the oil off and start it up. Looks fine. Got it right the first time. How about that? Yep. Now, for those who probably noticed, it's not a 020 that went in there. I have oil that I buy in bulk, so I'm get the ideas. He put the wrong type of oil in there. Nope. But I don't know what I'm doing, right? All right, I think that's good. I got everything on there. I'm gonna get it started up. Now, I expected to misfire a little bit and clear up. So, when I get the coats cleared and should be good to go. Get that check engine light cleared. Clear codes. Cool. So we're good to go. I don't know if I said anything about what the lady stated, but she's still going to give Hyundai, Kia another opportunity to try to get this fixed. So she's not going to do anything as far as like try to put the Elixir in there, and we'll try to do some passive repair and see if that'll help mitigate oil losses. And there's a bunch of other things I'm just not going to give details to, but that she's trying to get taken care of. But for the most part, my end for what I did, the misfires resolved. Kia is just going to be responsible for trying to get this misfire. I'm sorry, not misfire, but the oil consumption issue resolved. But if anything happened, come back, I'll definitely update and put it into the description. Hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, have the reassurance of my work. I'll see you on the next one.